water quality concerns after record rain.
Tonight, more than 1 billion litres of wastewater enters Lake Ontario, the potentially dangerous fallout from the floods. Good evening. We begin tonight with contamination concerns along the waterfront.
Several beaches are considered unsafe for swimming, and it's sparking questions about our city's aging infrastructure and the long-term impact of this week's wicked weather. CTV's Natalie Johnson joins us live tonight from Woodbine Beach. It's picturesque there, Natalie, but what's in the water is not pretty.
Exactly, Michelle. The beach may be busy here tonight, but the red flag is up, meaning it is unsafe to swim. E. coli levels are off the charts following Tuesday's massive storm that forced a huge amount of wastewater into the lake.
On a beautiful summer's day, for some, there is no shying away from the water.
I don't often swim in here, but I walk in the water.
I feel totally confident with my dog going in the water.
But a batch of beaches in the city has tested unsafe for swimming, according to Toronto Public Health, following Tuesday's massive storm.
15 centimeters below the surface of the water.
The nonprofit Swim Drink Fish has been testing the water and warns that in many places right now, the lake is not suitable for swimming.
This is certainly about as bad as it gets from an E. coli perspective.
The E. coli count's an indicator of what has contaminated the lake.
It's a warning that there might be other microorganisms in the water that can make you sick. So could be viruses, could be bacteria, could even be parasites.
The city's aging infrastructure is partly to blame for the problem, with some of the sewers nearly 100 years old. The combined sewers carry both stormwater and sewage.
The city says 1.3 billion litres of partially treated sewage was released during Tuesday's storm, equivalent to the size of more than 500 Olympic-sized swimming pools.
So a sewage bypass is when there's a certain volume of effluent, either wastewater or stormwater or combined, that is making its way to the sewage treatment plant or the wastewater treatment plant. We're worried that the system can't handle that volume of effluent, and so we bypass it. And that bypass just deposits directly into Lake Ontario or the Humber River or wherever our wastewater treatment plants happen to be located.
And so for now, it's all eyes on the lake.
Megan's collecting a series of other data points,
asking the public to watch where they swim until some of the sewer water washes away.
And the latest update from Toronto Public Health is that 6 of 10 of the city's public beaches are still unsafe to swim. The full list of which ones have red flags is available on the city's website. Reporting live at Woodbine Beach, I'm Natalie Johnson. Zoraida, over to you.
Thank you, Natalie. Meanwhile, the Toronto Humane Society is warning against letting dogs around areas where there is standing water from Tuesday's flooding. It says the water can pose a health risk as it may contain harmful pathogens and toxins. It recommends dog owners keep pets away from standing water and to call their vet if they notice any signs of illness.
And last night, Hydro One confirmed it had resolved flooding and other issues with a transmission station in Toronto's West End that had prompted prolonged power outages for thousands of residents. After showing some minor outages earlier today, Toronto Hydro's online map is clear of incidents as of this evening.
Still to come tonight, investigating 2 deaths in Ontario linked to certain plant-based drinks. What you need to know about the Listeriosis bacteria and the symptoms to watch out for.
But first, let's take a live look outside tonight. The water looks to be twinkling, and it's been a very dry day with decent sunshine, not too hot as well. We really are into a lovely stretch of summer weather. The next 2 days will be even nicer than what we got today. Let's bring in Jessica Smith with a look at the current conditions. Jess.
I've got good news. It stays really nice, really sunny, really dry, and that helps in this cleanup effort that I know a lot of folks are still participating in. It has been a little fresher today. I will not say cold because it's not cold, but a northwesterly wind has added to the freshness you feel out there, and it's eating into that humidity, so it makes it a little easier to spend some time outside. Sitting at in the low 20s around the Golden Horseshoe as we kind of step into the second half of our day. And we're holding on to temperatures a little cooler as we head into the evening, even some single digits in some areas. Right now, though, through the islands, through Pearson, around 21, 22. Tonight, just 14. So we're below seasonal, but it's comfortable. Coming up, your full forecast right now. Back over to Michelle.
Thank you, Jess. Also tonight, readying for the roar on the lakeshore. Roads have been closed. The fencing is up. Navigating race weekend road closures as the Honda Indy speeds through the city.
But first to the latest on the LCBO strike in Ontario.
Bargaining continues tonight. On a day, liquor sales were set to expand in the province. CTV's Beth McDonnell joins us live with the very latest. Beth.
Michelle, I think there is a sense some progress is being made. This is day 2 that the union and the LCBO are back at the bargaining table here at the Sheraton Hotel. But for those who rely on alcohol sales to make a living, there is very much a hope this strike is going to end soon. There is energy on the picket line, even as the LCBO strike has run for 2 weeks in the summer.
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling strong. We're all here together for the right reasons. And I think Doug Ford needs to listen to the little people for a change. There's 9,000 jobs at risk, and none of us want to lose our jobs.
At Yonge and Summerhill, workers set up pylons trying to prevent trucks from coming in and out to pick up product. CTV News is told managers are in the store filling orders for licensed establishments. Restaurants Canada says products are moving better in this second week after a very challenging first week. It met with the LCBO and changes have been made.
There's definitely frustration, and I think the frustration really stems from it's a really busy time of year and it's a critical time of year for our industry. So those two pieces right there make having to shift your operations and how you would normally go to about accessing products really difficult.
Hot House Restaurant and Bar downtown says it stocked up ahead of the strike. One of 14,000 businesses in Ontario depending on alcohol for revenue, hoping the strike doesn't drag on and doesn't become more intense.
It could become so in a couple of weeks, and I think really depends on, per establishment, what you were able to afford to stock up on as well. I mean, I know some smaller operators is a lot tougher to kind of make that call.
In Whitby, outside a distribution center, more worker action. This is a line of trucks appearing to be stuck outside the facility. At one point, one long hauler seems to be let in through the picket. Those who typically shop at the LCBO are also feeling the effects of the strike. Some grocery stores have near empty shelves of wine bottles and beer. The dwindling supply comes as the government announced ready-to-drink products and large pack sizes of beer would be available in some stores starting today. However, the LCBO says once ordered, it may take days for them to show up on the shelves. Some believe it may take up to 2 weeks for those ready-to-drink beverages to actually be on store shelves. When it comes to restaurants and bars, the LCBO says it is continuing to receive orders and fulfill them. Reporting live, I'm Beth McDonnell. Michelle Zoraida, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. Take a look at this scene off Highway 401 in Whitby this morning. Provincial police confirming a transport truck rolled over on the ramp from the eastbound lanes to Brock Street before 8 a.m. There were no reports of any injuries, and the ramp was set to be reopened by early afternoon.
Meanwhile, Halton police say they've disrupted an alleged vehicle chop shop in Milton. A week ago today, officers say they traced a recently stolen vehicle from Peel Region to a rural address. Upon executing a warrant at the property, they say they found 12 stolen vehicles in various states of being disassembled. 3 suspects arrested on site. They face charges of trafficking and possession of property obtained by crime over $5,000.
There's been a deadly update to a health recall of plant-based milk products.
2 people in Ontario have now died of listeriosis. CTV's health reporter Pauline Chan has more on the symptoms to look out for and why this bacteria is so tricky to detect.
The 2 deaths were among a number of listeriosis cases reported across Canada in connection with several great value and silk types of almond, oat, coconut, and cashew-based milks. There were 10 cases in Ontario and 1 each in Quebec and Nova Scotia, with 9 people hospitalized.
There's likely many more cases of people who were impacted with this listeria who are on the mild to moderate end of the spectrum of illness, who might have had a self-resolving illness, but who never made it to medical attention, so weren't counted.
In 2008, a listeriosis outbreak linked with cold cuts, a common source of listeria contamination, prompted one of the largest food recalls in Canadian history. 22 people died of the illness.
People who are on the older end of the spectrum, the younger end of the spectrum, people who are immunocompromised, and pregnant women. Those are 4 risk factors for severe infection.
What's one of the diseases that we learn about quite early on in infectious diseases training because it can be so dangerous, particularly when it's causing central nervous system infections.
Symptoms include vomiting, nausea, persistent fever, muscle aches, severe headache, and stiffness of the neck. Dr. Dale Kalina says Listeria is particularly hard to detect.
Because you can't smell it. It really doesn't cause much of a difference in flavor of the foods, and that's the way that it gets transmitted is through unpasteurized dairy products, deli meats.
And it's not just animal products.
These products are not always pasteurized, and because they're plant-based and because they're not expected to have the same level of contamination that you would expect from cow's milk.
Once again, throw out the recalled products by Silk and Walmart's Great Value line. You can get details about which of the plant-based milks are involved by checking our website. Pauline Chan, CTV News.
South of the border, Joe Biden is facing more calls to exit the race as he self-isolates following testing positive for COVID.
Biden is reportedly more receptive as Donald Trump takes center stage tonight at the Republican convention. CTV's Washington bureau chief Joy Malbin reports.
Donald Trump's moment of survival seems to have changed the former president, telling people he's tossed out his tougher speech and will stress unity after that terrifying moment. In a cell phone video obtained by PBS, he told a crowd,
"And then I got shot." In many ways, it changes your attitude, your viewpoint on life, and I think, honestly, I think you appreciate God even more.
Projecting strength and defiance as President Joe Biden had to be helped into a car returning home to Delaware, knocked off the campaign trail with COVID. Biden's doctor says he's experiencing mild upper respiratory symptoms and continues to receive Paxlovid. It comes at a critical time, Democrats at a crossroads, as many question whether Biden can serve another 4 years. He faces growing pressure from senior Democrats. Former Speaker Nancy Pelosi reportedly telling Biden polling shows he cannot defeat Donald Trump in battleground states needed to win. The Washington Post reports Barack Obama has told allies Biden's path to winning has diminished. Only this said Biden would change his mind.
If there had some medical condition that emerged, if the doctors came to me and said, you got this problem, that problem.
As more donors desert him after that disastrous debate, House and Senate candidates fear they could be wiped out too. After all these calls, Biden reportedly showing a willingness to reassess.
We really don't care whether it's Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, or another candidate. We are prepared to deliver Donald Trump a victory on November 5th.
Trump's party more united than ever as investigators found the suspected gunman Thomas Crooks had pictures of both Trump and Joe Biden on his phone and had searched for dates for Trump's rallies and the Democrats' Chicago convention. This was him. New video shows Crooks almost a full hour before Trump took the stage, acting suspiciously. He reportedly posted a chilling message on a gaming site saying, "July 13 will be my premiere. Watch as it unfolds." At the Republican convention, senators confronted the Secret Service director, demanding to know what went wrong.
Give us an explanation. You owe President Trump answers.
Anger from Trump supporters and a strange sign of solidarity with Trump. Some here are sporting bandages on their right ear.
What's so surprising is just how united Republicans are after nearly a decade of infighting over Trump's polarizing policies. Contrast that to the Democrats who feel that their political world is imploding. Joy Malbin, CTV News, Milwaukee.
And CTV News chief political correspondent Vashi Kapelos is covering the Republican convention as well. She joins us live from Milwaukee tonight. Vashi, you've been there all week, taking it all in. Trump's big moment is tonight. And I know you've been talking with people on his campaign about what they want to accomplish. What are they telling you?
Well, Michelle, it jumps off exactly what Joy was just talking about, the implosion of Joe Biden's campaign. His advisors are telling Trump to stay away from talking about that, to just let that campaign implode and focus on the agenda they want to put forward tonight. The question is whether over an hour-long speech, Donald Trump is going to be able to do that.
Yes. What should we listen to that might impact Canadians directly?
So, Michelle, I've got my ears tuned to any news on the trade or economic front. J.D. Vance, the senator who's his vice presidential pick, talked about not liking NAFTA, that it was a bad deal last night. I'm looking to see if there's going to be any news that Donald Trump makes on the trade front. In particular, he's got a 10% tariff on imports he's been promising. Would that apply to Canada? Would Canada get an exemption? Does he have any broad-based statements about NAFTA that he's going to make? That's what my ears are tuned for, because that would certainly have a great impact on this country. Michelle?
CTV's Vashi Capello's live for us in Milwaukee. Thank you.
You bet.
Meanwhile, the new commander of Canada's military warns the world is changing and we need to be ready to face new threats. Today, Jenny Carignan became the first woman to become chief of the defense staff. CTV's Michael Couture reports.
With pomp and pageantry, the Canadian military ushered in an historic appointment. General Jenny Carignan has broken a number of glass ceilings in her 35-year career, but she knows this is different.
I get now to lead these fantastic people in, very difficult times. It's not going to be easy, folks.
General Carignan inherits a recruitment and retention problem that has left the military short 16,500 troops. Procurement problems have left the armed forces with an equipment shortage, leading to a lack of capability if our forces have to defend our country against potential threats from China and Russia.
I say we have about 5 years to get us close enough to be ready to counter those long-range type of threats.
Carignan led NATO missions in Iraq and commanded troops in Bosnia, Afghanistan, and other locations. Most recently, she was charged with leading the force's effort to transform a toxic culture within the military.
One of the most important things we can do to continue growing the forces ever stronger is to put someone of your caliber in the top job.
Now, there are no questions about her qualifications, but there is a concern about a glass cliff ahead of Carignan, especially as some have said the military is in crisis.
I have been asked questions about whether or not she's going to fully improve representation of women in the military by her presence itself, and that is too much expectation to put.
But for Canada's first ever female infantry officer, Carignan's appointment is an important signal to young women across the country.
It allows them to think that this is possible. There is no more barriers to the top rank of the Canadian Armed Forces.
General Carignan says job number one is to address the recruiting issue, and she believes the military will need to be ready to counter emerging threats within 5 years. Michael Couture, CTV News, Ottawa.
A high-profile member of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's cabinet is quitting. Seamus O'Regan will be leaving his position as Labour Minister and will not run in the next election.
The move comes as questions loom over a potential cabinet shuffle this summer. CTV's Jeremy Charon reports.
Prime Minister, what does it say about your government that Seamus O'Regan is leaving cabinet and not running again? Are you going to replace him with Mark Carney tomorrow?
Questions left unanswered in a summer of growing uncertainty for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and his Liberals.
I, Seamus O'Regan.
Today, an exit from cabinet for a high-profile, long-time Liberal. Seamus O'Regan is quitting his job as minister and won't run in the next election. Ultimately, my family comes first. I need to be a better husband, son, uncle, and friend, he said in a statement.
Seamus O'Regan was one of the government's most effective communicators, one of the few cabinet ministers who could talk to people and sound like a real person, not sound like a government key message machine.
A longtime close friend of the Prime Minister, O'Regan was a member of Trudeau's wedding party in 2005. He was first elected to the House of Commons in 2015 and brought into cabinet in 2017.
I think he has been a remarkable member of our government. He has served very capably in every job that the Prime Minister has given him, most recently as our Minister of Labour.
The announcement comes ahead of a cabinet meeting Friday amid growing speculation about a potential cabinet shuffle this summer. As the Liberals continue to slump in the polls, new numbers from Abacus data show 61% of Canadians say they would vote for a change in government in the next federal election.
I'm skeptical that a shuffling of the cabinet or even a serious change in the economic team is going to fundamentally change people's perceptions about the government because it's so tied to how they feel about the Prime Minister.
In a statement today announcing the ministerial change, the Prime Minister thanked O'Regan for his leadership and dedication and said the new Minister of Labour and Sciences will be sworn in at Rideau Hall tomorrow. Jeremy Cheryl, CTV News, Ottawa.
In Montreal, an investigation is underway after the constituency office of Federal Immigration Minister Mark Miller was vandalized overnight.
We can presume that it's maybe linked to the protester and the conflict Israelo-Palestinian because they were protesting a few days ago and a few weeks ago in front.
Windows were smashed and walls were defaced with paint and graffiti, and police say there was major damage inside the office. No arrests have been made, but officers will be checking surveillance video and gathering forensic evidence. Miller condemned the attack on social media as a criminal act.
Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister will travel to China tomorrow. Mélanie Joly released a statement that reads in part, as the world faces increasingly complex and intersecting global issues, Canada is committed to engaging pragmatically with a wide range of countries to advance our national interests and uphold our values. We must maintain open lines of communication and use diplomacy to challenge where we ought to, while seeking cooperation in areas that matter most to Canadians. Joly will meet with her counterpart following an invitation by Beijing. The relationship between Canada and China has gotten worse in recent years.
SpaceX will use a powerful capsule to move the International Space Station out of orbit when its time is up. NASA gave SpaceX an $843 million contract to bring down the space station. That's the biggest structure ever built off the planet. The plan is to burn the orbiting lab up on re-entry, and what's left will end up in the ocean. Ideally, it would happen at the beginning of 2031 when the station hits the 32-year mark. SpaceX plans to use an ordinary Dragon capsule, but with a record 46 engines and more than 16,000 kilograms of fuel.
Coming up, a Toronto food bank devoted to helping others suddenly needed some help. The urgent appeal after falling victim to the mass flooding earlier this week.
Holding on to a cooler but comfortable evenings if you're heading out tonight for a walk, maybe you're playing sports outside, enjoying the great outdoors. We're not holding on to that intense heat and humidity. So temperature-wise, as we slowly fall, we're holding on to that northerly flow with the wind to keep that heat at bay.
It's a summer favorite. The Honda Indy is back in Toronto, but amid all the excitement come concerns about congestion.
While cars may be racing along the lakeshore this weekend, traffic surrounding the area will certainly not be. CTV's Scott Lightfoot is live near Exhibition Place, where gridlock already a big problem there. With more closures, it's likely going to get worse, Scott.
Yeah, that's right. If you're planning to come to this area or come through this area over the next couple days, maybe don't. This is what it looks like right now. I'll step out of the way here and show you. This is what it's looked like for the past few hours as the Honda Indy gets set to go here. The cars on the track go fast, but the cars on the roads around Exhibition Place, well, they're hardly moving at all. Here's what some frustrated drivers had to say this afternoon.
This is crazy. Like, it shouldn't be like this.
How long have you been in traffic?
Within an hour or so.
Start on that?
Yeah, and it will take another 40 minutes to reach my home. It's so bad.
So the westbound lanes of Lakeshore are closed from Strawn to British Columbia Drive. The southbound lanes of Strawn are closed from Fleet Street to Lakeshore. That is not just slowing down drivers trying to get through the area, but it's also pushing more traffic onto nearby side streets and into neighborhoods. Of course, these closures are part of the annual experience that is Indy Weekend, but this year with those lane restrictions on the Gardiner, they are putting a further squeeze on drivers. Speaking of drivers, Australian race car driver Lockie Hughes got to experience some of this traffic on his way down here to the racetrack today. Here's what he told reporters.
I got stuck in traffic as well, so I actually rented a bike to get here in time and then ran the rest of the way. So it's cool just to be outside, like along the water there. It reminds me a little back home in Australia.
So there's the track. You're looking now at the track, the setup for the track that Hughes and others will be racing on. The city says they have adjusted traffic signals in the area to help with traffic flow. They've also put a number of traffic agents out and about to try and keep motorists moving, to keep them from blocking intersections. But again, if you're coming down here this weekend, either for the race, there's Jay's game, there are 2 concerts. You can see all the people heading over to Budweiser stage for a concert here tonight. Your best bet, if you're coming down here, even just to get to the lake, is to find another way to do it than take a vehicle. Live, I'm Scott Lightfoot. Soraya and Michelle, back to you.
And Scott's going to have a great time getting out of there as well. You know, there's only so much changing the signals can do, right? It really, he just painted the picture there. It's the perfect storm. And doesn't it say it all when a driver, a participant, can't even make it to his own event?
Oh, that's crazy. The only thing worse than traffic is traffic in the rain.
Yeah.
So hopefully for the Honda Indy or anything else happening this weekend, there's some sunshine.
At least it's a silver lining that it's gorgeous outside. So while you're sitting there stuck in traffic, at least it's not raining out there. But the temperature, it really makes a difference. And as we head throughout the rest of our evening, thanks to a northerly flow to the wind, it's a little fresh out there if you're not in direct sunlight. By no means is it cold, but a noticeable difference from what we had earlier on in the week. But outside right now, still a ton of sunshine out there. True early on this morning as well. And it's been beautiful, kind of a nice reprieve as we continue to clean up from the rain, to set up for all of the activities, the laundry list of wonderful events taking place as we head in towards the end of the week and the weekend. It's the best part about living in the city, traveling to the city, is that there's so much to do. It's just getting to and from. But at least the weather cooperates. Temperature-wise right now, still sitting at 21. It feels like 23, so we have just a hint of a humidex. Warmer, though, still through parts of northern Ontario as they're getting some of that heat that has kind of taken over a good portion of the prairies. 25 in Red Lake, and it feels like 28. As we head through our evening, we'll sit at about 14. The seasonal norm is around 17, so we're not far off from where we should be, but it is noticeably cooler. We're looking at single digits through Goderich, through Waterloo region, and through Bancroft. Again, it's not cold, but a noticeable difference from the past few days. Into the day tomorrow, we're holding on to that sunshine, high pressure, a much more stable air mass really settles in nicely as we step in towards the end of the week and kick off the weekend. But temperatures tomorrow into the mid-20s, really right across the board. See, there's no green in this area. We like that. There's no rain as we head throughout the beginning of our weekend, and that is a welcome sight for so many folks as we go through what is going to be a busy weekend activity-wise, and also that cleanup that continues. As we head throughout the day today into the day tomorrow, again, we're not looking at much in the way of any active weather. There's that cold front through northern Ontario, so if you're traveling north-north, then you're going to experience a little bit of rain. But through the southern portion of the province as we head through our Thursday evening in towards our Friday, there's really not much going on, which is nice. We're holding on to that beautiful sunshine, humidex values that are fairly manageable, and UV indexes that are higher, so sun protection really important. As we head through the end of the day on Friday, maybe you're heading off to a cottage. Fantastic forecast. And if you're going to be stuck in traffic, at least there's a little bit of sunshine out there. Into our Saturday, not much going on. All that active weather staying pretty far north of us. We stay really steady with this forecast right throughout the end of the weekend and into the beginning of next week. So your Friday, fantastic, fairly seasonal. We will kind of have a bit of a humidex feeling closer to 29, but we're right in that sweet spot for where we should be without it feeling too warm out there. A southerly wind will help to start to warm things up. Into our Saturday, the warmest day of the weekend, fantastic. We got lots of sunshine. That humidex is in that fantastic point where it is warm, but it's not overly hot out there. Into Sunday and Monday, the chance of maybe a slight passing shower. Really and truly, this is just more because we see that heat builds up, that chance is there. We have the right conditions, the right recipe in place for the chance of a pop-up shower, but really nothing all that settled. And as we head in towards the beginning of next week, really the next chance for active weather isn't until Thursday, so we're holding on to the sunshine. Zaretta, Michelle, I'll send things back to you.
Thanks, Jess. Well, it's yet another consequence of the historic downpour that hit the city earlier this week.
Toronto Food Bank has put out an urgent plea for help after flooding severely impacted operations. CTV's John Musselman reports.
Hello. The water was coming in from up above and down below, reaching the height of the loading dock. Boxes of food supplies were floating in the parking lot. The video and photos captured by staff at the North York Harvest Food Bank during Tuesday's rainstorm.
It was so heavy that we couldn't pump it out of our loading docks fast enough. So we saw water accumulate and flood our truck loading bays. And what that did was cause some damage to our trucks. As it continued throughout the morning, we started to see water leak into the building, and then that had an impact on our fridges and freezers. We couldn't keep the temperatures where we needed to be.
The water also damaged some of the refrigerators, and a loss of power made the problem worse. Donated milk, cheese, eggs, and meat had to be thrown out. It's estimated $50,000 worth of food was lost.
That food that we had to discard, that's an opportunity that's gone.
The food bank has issued an urgent appeal for cash donations and dry or canned goods. This man is with the Hindu Food Bank. He showed up today with a huge donation of rice after hearing about the damage.
We collect from the community, from the temples and other places, and then we deliver it to Harvest.
and a few other food banks, but this is our favorite one.
Meanwhile, Global Medic is packing food to help out local food banks across the GTA. Rahul Singh is the executive director.
If we lose these food banks, if they end up empty and don't have product, people go hungry. It's not a good thing. So we've got to do our best, and that's why at Global Medic, our food security program, it's all about, leveraging volunteers, getting people like the ones behind me and over my shoulder, out packing food aid, and then getting the right food aid out to the food banks.
Global Medic is a Canadian charity that provides disaster relief services all over the world. Back at North York Harvest Food Bank, staff say despite the storm, they were able to get donated food delivered on Tuesday, but they are appealing for donations to make up for what was lost. John Musselman, CTV News.
Still to come, a warning about some missing persons posts on Facebook, why police say they might be fake, what to look out for, and what scammers hope to gain with all of this information. It is the latest example of why you can't believe everything you read on social media. Police are warning of fake missing persons posters going around Facebook.
It's all part of an elaborate scam, one that thousands of people are falling for. CTV's Danton Unger reports.
It may tug on your heartstrings, and you may be trying to help. But that's exactly what Facebook scammers are counting on.
This has been a question for an awful long time now, this idea of what is real and what is fake on the internet.
Facebook posts have started circulating showing apparent missing persons, asking everyone to share. The problem is, it may be a scam. Take this post, for example. It was shared to the Brandon Buy and Sell Facebook group. The poster says their 5-year-old daughter went out for a bike ride and hasn't returned. It says a silver alert has been activated and is asking people to share the post. Here's another one. This one, a missing 14-year-old girl who hasn't been seen for 48 hours. This one has 26,000 people sharing it. But Brandon police say the people in these posts don't exist, and the posts themselves are likely scams.
It's a bait and switch, essentially. So what these scammers are doing is they are putting out a post that pulls on the heartstrings of people, be it a injured animal or a lost and hurt child. And with that, it gets a widespread.
But what do scammers hope to accomplish with these posts?
On the surface, it seems to be a benign post.
David Gerhard, head of the University of Manitoba's Computer Science Department, says once you've shared the post and forgotten about it, the scammers will come back and change it.
Instead of a missing person, now it's a real estate opportunity or a multi-level marketing scheme or, buy this Bitcoin or whatever it is. Some way to steal money or steal information or to hack an account, right? That's the scam.
The problem is, not all Facebook posts about missing people are scams.
That's where this becomes insidious, because then people become nervous about sharing these things because they wonder if it's real or not.
Danton Unger, CTV News, Winnipeg.
He is being remembered as a comedic genius who was one of the most popular TV stars of his time. Fans and colleagues are mourning the passing of Bob Newhart.
Was an innkeeper in this crazy little town in Vermont. More planes in the air today than ever before.
Newhart first gained nationwide fame as a stand-up comic in the 1960s and later starred in 2 extremely successful TV series, The Bob Newhart Show in the 1970s and in the 80s, another situation comedy simply called Newhart. Over the years, he also appeared in movies like Elf and Catch-22, among others, and TV series that included The Librarians, Horrible Bosses, and The Big Bang Theory, for which he won an Emmy. Bob Newhart was 94.
Plans for a new documentary series about the late artist Prince appear to now be on hold, perhaps permanently. A report in Puck suggests Oscar-winning director Ezra Edelman was working on a 6-part series on the music legend for Netflix. But after a few extremely limited screenings, it appears Prince's estate is withdrawing its approval, claiming it contains factual inaccuracies. Other sources suggest the dispute may be about the length of the project or other issues. Stakeholders haven't commented publicly.
Marvel is setting the stage for the next phase of its Avengers franchise, with some familiar names potentially directing.
We owe this to everyone who's not in this room to try.
According to The Hollywood Reporter, Joe and Anthony Russo, who directed several other Avengers films, including Endgame and Infinity War, may be coming back to helm another 2 installments of the superhero movie series. The report says they are in early talks for those projects, which would hit theaters in 2026 and 27. The Russo spokesperson declined to comment.
Are you doing this?
Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. I'm needed upstairs.
And Warner Brothers today shared a new trailer for its long-awaited sequel to Tim Burton's 1988 classic Beetlejuice. The supernatural comedy reunites Michael Keaton with fellow original stars Winona Ryder and Catherine O'Hara, and new cast members including Jenna Ortega and Justin Theroux. Beetlejuice Beetlejuice premieres at the Venice Film Festival before hitting theaters in September.
Still to come, revving up production at the Ford plant in Oakville, the vehicle being added to the assembly line after the break.
We are depositing sewage or partially treated sewage directly into our water, and that contains E. coli and other bacteria.
Updating our top stories, don't swim in the water. That's the advice from health officials after Tuesday's record rainfall. The city says 1.3 billion liters of partially treated sewage was released during the storm. E. coli levels are expected to stay higher than recommended for some time yet.
Likely many more cases of people who were impacted with this listeria who are on the mild to moderate end of the spectrum of illness.
2 deaths in Ontario have been linked to an ongoing listeriosis outbreak that prompted the recall of several non-dairy milk products. Infectious disease experts say many people don't need medical attention, but some with weaker immune systems could be at higher risk of a serious infection.
Ridiculous. This is crazy. Like, it shouldn't be like this.
And motorists are speaking out as they face ongoing challenges driving through downtown. Additional road closures are in place ahead of the Honda Indy this weekend, including parts of Lakeshore Boulevard West and Strawn Avenue. The city says it's adjusting signals and deploying traffic agents to keep intersections open and to try and reduce congestion. Remember to keep up to date day and night through our website, ctvnewstoronto.ca, and by downloading the CTV News app. And if you ever have a news tip, photos, or video or breaking news, let us know.
The Ford assembly plant in Oakville is getting a boost, and could airline stocks soon be taking a hit? Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg has the details in business.
Hello there. The post-COVID travel frenzy is fading. So make sure you demand discounts when you're shopping for flights. Airlines are warning of pressure on profits as anxious carriers cut prices to fill up planes amid disappointing demand. Meanwhile, corporate travel has not rebounded fully post-pandemic. United Airlines joined Alaska Airlines and Delta in offering a muted outlook, and Deutsche Lufthansa has cut its profit forecast, and Qatar Airways says higher capacity in the market is putting pressure on fares. Air Canada stock has dropped 9% this year, and it's still down more than 60% from 2019. Investors continued moving into stocks other than the U.S. mega-cap technology group today. Apple, Microsoft, and Amazon.com were all down as energy, real estate, and utility shares climbed in the U.S. market. The threat of more American clampdowns on Chinese access to technology is weighing on the market. The U.S. S&P 500 index slipped about 1%, and Toronto was down as miners fell. Copper hit a 3-month low. Finally, Ford will invest $3 billion US to build its highly profitable Super Duty F-Series pickup trucks in Oakville, Ontario. The company has delayed plans to produce an electric sport utility vehicle there. Ford Chief Executive Jim Farley said, quote, "Super Duty is a vital tool for businesses and people around the world. And even with our Kentucky truck plant and Ohio assembly plant running flat out, we can't meet the demand." On the markets, the Canadian dollar was at 72.92 US cents, down more than 1/10 cent. WTI oil, North America's benchmark, changed hands at $82.46, down 39 cents US a barrel. Western Canadian Select Oil was at $67.54 a barrel, up $2.06. And the TSX Composite ended at 22,726.76, down just over 124 points. That's the latest in business. I'm Andrew Bell of BNN Bloomberg.
Andrew mentioned Ford's updated plans for its Oakville plant. Well, we spoke today with Unifor National President Lana Payne, who says the changes are great news for members.
It's going to provide secure employment, and it's going to provide a good future for thousands of workers in the Oakville area.
Payne says F-150 Super Duty production is scheduled to come into the plant in the year 2026, reducing by a year the period of time it lays idle while the switch to EV production is delayed.
The Business Report is brought to you by Canadian Western Bank, the bank built for business.
A new survey of the GTA's condo market is highlighting just how historic the ongoing slowdown in sales has been. Urban Nation shared its market survey for the second quarter of the year, showing just under 3,200 new condos were sold in the GTA. That marked a 57% decline compared to a year before and capped off the slowest half of a year for condo sales since 1997. Condo resales were also well below the 20-year average. Analysts say buyers are likely waiting on the sidelines for more interest rate cuts, while sellers are reluctant to drop asking prices after paying higher costs at the peak.
Meanwhile, home prices in Northern Ontario appear to be increasing faster than the rest of the country. Zoocasa compared the benchmark prices of single-family homes in 26 major markets across Canada in January and June. North Bay, Sault Ste. Marie, and Sudbury were the only three cities with double-digit percentage increases. Experts say new listings there haven't surged as they have elsewhere, potentially driving up competition.
As Canada's athletes prepare for the Olympic Games, Toronto's Summer McIntosh is already one of the country's most accomplished swimmers at just 17 years old.
She weighed in today on what she's hoping to achieve in Paris.
I think when it comes to an Olympic Games, it's not so much about the time as it would be for other swimmers. It's more about how your placement and position, of course. So obviously that's always a goal. That's the whole basis of the sport. But at the same time, I'm really just focused on myself and all the things that I can do to prepare as best as possible before all my races and things I can do, like I said earlier, in between to recover from my previous race. So just trying to stay in the moment and try to execute as best as possible is really what I'll think success will look like for me.
While she didn't come home with any medals in Tokyo and Paris, McIntosh is competing in 4 individual events, starting with the 400-meter freestyle on day 1 of the Games next Friday.
The Toronto Raptors will host a preseason game in Montreal as part of the NBA Canada Series. The game is taking place October 6th at the Bell Centre as the Raptors celebrate their 30th season. The Washington Wizards are the opponent. It'll be the 8th time Toronto has played a preseason game in Montreal. Last year, they were in Vancouver. The NBA Canada Series debuted in 2012.
Meanwhile, Major League Baseball has released its schedule for 2025. Here's a quick look at some of the Blue Jays' notable games. Opening day is March 27th when the Jays host the Baltimore Orioles. Another American League East rival, the New York Yankees, will be the opponent for the annual Canada Day game on July 1st. The Blue Jays will play 48 interleague games against National League teams in 2025. Toronto's regular season wraps up September 28th with a home game against the Tampa Bay Rays.
Meanwhile, Canada has moved up 8 spots in the latest FIFA men's rankings after finishing 4th at the Copa America. Canada now sits 40th in the rankings, released today by soccer's world governing body. Our highest spot was 33rd in 2022 during a successful qualifying run for the 2022 World Cup. Canada is still 4th in the CONCACAF Federation, which covers North and Central America and the Caribbean.
Just ahead on CTV News, welcoming T-Swift with fresh signage. The deputy mayor wants to rename a downtown route temporarily to welcome the world's biggest pop star to town.
Tonight, Donald Trump steps into the spotlight.
Trump fans will make America great again.
The Republican presidential nominee addresses the party for the first time since his assassination attempt. Later on CTV National News from Milwaukee.
The summer in the city is now in full swing, but Taylor Swift fans are already counting down to the fall.
The Grammy winner takes over the Rogers Centre for 6 sold-out concerts in November, and the city is getting ready to roll out the red carpet.
I'll be your host this evening. My name is Taylor, and welcome to the Eras Tour.
If a motion before Toronto City Council passes next week, the route between Nathan Phillips Square and the Rogers Centre will be designated Taylor Swift Way for the entire month of November. The Toronto sign will also be lit up in red in Swift's honor. Deputy Mayor Jennifer McKelvey says the Superstars shows November 14th through the 16th and 21st to 23rd have been a long time coming, and Toronto is ready for it. And by the way, those signs, if the motion passes, they will auction them off and then donate the proceeds to charity, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
I love it. No bad blood when it comes to the forecast over the next couple of days, but we are. See, guys.
Good. You know your Swift songs.
Good. How long did you think that one up?
She just thought of it. She's quick.
I'm quick like that. Taylor can hire me if she wants me for the songs here. But it is going to be beautiful as we head throughout the next couple of days. So no matter what you're doing, listening to Taylor Swift inside or outside, any music you want, really, it's going to be fantastic. High pressure settles in, and we have a beautiful and very seasonal and very sunny forecast. Temperature-wise, we're still around 21. Feeling like 23, so it is noticeably cooler as we step into the second half of the day, but I think a lot of folks really enjoying that. As we head in towards the day tomorrow, spot on for seasonal. It's as we get in towards Saturday that things start to ramp up just a little bit, not too crazy. I know a lot of folks are looking forward to a drier and sunnier weekend, and we do have that. The slight chance of maybe a passing shower on Sunday and Monday, but overall, it's looking pretty good.
Thank you, Jess. That's it for us, but be sure to join Omar Sachedina tonight at 11 for CTV National News, and Zarada, she's back at 11:30 with your next local newscast.
In the meantime, our coverage continues anytime on CP24 and online at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Jessica Smith and the whole team here at CTV News, thanks for watching. Have a great night.
We'll see you at 11:30.
You could be one of the dancers for sure.
Listen, Taylor, call
with
me.
all that experience.
Right? Backup singer, backup dancer.